everyone, this is Malia with Inner Perfect, and I am going to do another video where I pick a random book off of the bookshelf behind me and then open to a passage and see what amazing inspired message is waiting for us. And this form of divination is called bibliomancy. It's been used forever. I did a video a few days ago from the book called Oneness. This book is called Transformation Soup by SARK, and it was actually published in the year 2000. And if you've never read a SARK book, they are all handwritten and illustrated. They're black and white in color. They're very creative and very free-flowing, very organic. And I have several different SARK books in my library, my personal library. So let's see what wisdom comes through for us tonight. All right, this is page 127. That would be 10, the number 10, or the number 1. 1 plus 0 equals 1. New beginnings, perhaps. Let's just all realize and admit that the pain never ends and go on brilliantly anyway. Brilliantly in this case means despite all forms of wanting to quit. Let's realize that to experience our lives intimately means to be off balance, out of control, and subject to all sorts of fragile and tender emotions. We might say, then why do it? Why not hide, avoid, resist, anesthetize, refuse, neglect, lie, work harder, gain more control, get more money, seek more escapes, and live in denial? You'll do all of these things anyway, and the pain just waits for another entry point. The real and indelible blessing is that to be truly present in our own lives also means that we're there for all the ecstasy and joy as well as all the pain. Pain heals. Oh, that joy is tougher to accept than pain. Isn't this a curious paradox? We are often more comfortable with pain and struggle because it's familiar. So, some people might say that the human experience is about suffering, right? And maybe that we are all the root cause of our own suffering. And what I know to be true, what I believe, and what I like to share with others is that I see the full potential of our lives and of our experiences to be almost on a spectrum. And this spectrum can be like, a prism, all of the different colors of the rainbow, or the spectrum could be black on one end and then white, clear on the other. And then we have this, gradient, of grays in between. But with this spectrum, however you choose to see it, we might have on one end the full energy of expansion, of love, of openness, of freedom. And then the equal opposite on the other end of the spectrum would be a contracted energy. It would be being in fear or pain or anger, right? Equal emotions, but opposite. And then, of course, you have, different versions of those energies of the full expansion or the absolute contraction, all along that spectrum. And really, wherever you find yourself on that spectrum of experiences, or where those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts kind of rest, nothing is wrong. Nothing is really better or worse than the other. They're truly just experiences. What might be quote unquote better or worse is how much we allow ourselves to really feel the full experience, of whatever that emotion is or whatever that lesson is. And I think that a lot of times when we're kind of just moving through life, we're going through the motions, or, it's almost like we're not really there. We're like this shell, of a person, or maybe, our body's doing one thing, doing the daily thing. But then, we've got this whole other landscape on the inside that we're experiencing, thinking about, feeling. That when we aren't truly present, when we are not fully immersed in whatever experience we're having, then we're just kind of scraping the surface. We're just kind of dipping our toes in a little bit. And of course, when it's an energy that is on the more contracted end of the spectrum, where it's dense and heavy and scary and painful or whatever it is, a lot of us would like to avoid the full immersion because it just is not comfortable, right? Yet we may have that avoidant, tendency or inclination. Yet there is a part of that we carry with us because it's still there. It's still under the surface. And so it's kind of like running in the background. It's like slow torture, right? So speaking to what we read out of the Transformation Soup book, I feel that it is important to acknowledge wherever you are at, whatever you are feeling, experiencing, and to truly try to let yourself sit with that, be immersed in that. Now, it may be absolutely horrifying, what you're experiencing, and you may want to even like set a timer. So let yourself feel fully that thing for 10 minutes and then ask yourself, am I still feeling this thing? How do I feel now? Do I have any better sense of understanding about this? Maybe we get a journal out and we brainstorm, or we kind of jot some things down, have some free writing. But it is so much easier to immerse ourselves into the energy of expansion, of love, to just be kind of like enveloped in that, right? When we're experiencing that. Yet, if we are not letting ourselves fully be like surrendered into that energy of expansion, then that leaves room for like the negative self-talk, or well, how long is this going to last? Or is this real? Or can I trust this? Or anything like that. So regardless of where you are at in your experiences along the spectrum of expansion or contraction, or all the varying degrees in between, to let yourself fully be present, to let yourself be fully immersed in the experience of that moment and of that feeling, how it feels in your body, what arises and emerges from you out of truly experience you're feeling that thing, almost on like a primal instinctual level. When we experience something fully that is on the end of love and openness, well, then we are completely bathed in that. It permeates our entire being, and we blossom even more fully into that. When we allow ourselves to truly feel and acknowledge a painful experience, or something that we are afraid of acknowledging, a fear, yes, it may want to, we may want to curl up into the fetal position and just be, still and quiet, and to be able to even endure the immersion into that energy. But we get so much clarity in that. We get so much truth in that end of the spectrum as well. And no, we don't want to stay there forever, because I don't believe that we came here to live our lives to really experience one extreme or the other. We're always aiming for love. We're aiming for expansion and attraction and abundance and all these things. And those are all wonderful experiences to have, especially when we have this subconscious or unconscious belief that we're told, well, we're born suffering, we're born guilty, we're born negative, right? And it's like we're always trying to combat that or something. But when we let ourselves feel the fullness of wherever we are at on that spectrum of experiences, those lessons or those almost like checklist of experience this to have an understanding of it, that lesson is synthesized almost immediately. It can be like an epiphany, and then you get it, and then you're ready for the next thing. The next energy, which might be, instead of pain or suffering, is then something that is beautiful and expansive. But if we're just kind of like dipping our toes in or kind of treading a little bit here and a little bit there, it's very mediocre. We're not actually getting the full experience. And so that's a lot of times why my lessons just kind of keep recycling, or patterns keep showing up, because, you know, we're getting another opportunity to maybe have a deeper immersion, to have a deeper experience, a more full experience. And the last thing that I want to say is that when we do experience pain or we do experience loss, nobody likes that. It's not fun, right? It can be sickening. It can be just devastating. But when we do experience loss, that actually opens us up to the equal opposite on the other end of the spectrum. Then we are actually able to more fully understand what that receiving is, you know, what that fullness is, what that joy is. And it doesn't cancel or balance each other out, those equal opposite experiences or emotions. But, you know, it allows us, if we've been in the depths, then it allows us to reach, you know, to the heights as well. And so it is an ebb and flow. It is a back and forth. And the more that you are able to take in stride wherever you are at in your present moment and fully experience whatever has crossed your path or whatever you have chosen, consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, or just by your decisions or you know, choices, that's what has kind of shown up in your manifested reality, then, you know, the more that we're able to just deeply experience everything, that's what we came here to do. And the pain is part of it, but it's because the love is part of it as well. And the more that we do fully understand what pain or loss may feel like, then we also know what the fullness of love is as well. And I think that we all came here to experience that as well. So, food for thought. And I hope that this message reaches you well and that you have a good evening. And I will see you again here on YouTube very soon. Good night.